All set?
Yes.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the August 24th meeting of the Sturbridge Planning Board. First item will be approval of the minutes of July 27th. At 6:31, we'll have an approval, A&R, approval not required, requested by Laurie Boniface for 165 and 175 Shepherd Road. 6:35, we have a public hearing, site plan approval for Swaminarayan Realty LLC, Lucky Mart at 122 Main Street. After that, we'll have the town planner update, old and new business, and then adjournment. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes of July 27th?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Any comments, questions, changes? If not, if we have a motion then to approve as submitted?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, Sue, second, you got that? Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed, no one? Great. Very good. And we have the A&R. Do you have anything, Janae, you want to say about it, or?
Andy Baum is online.
Oh, okay, great.
If you have any questions, and Jean did write in about it in her report.
Right, okay. Okay. You want to just go over a little explanation of what's going on? Is he on there?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
Maybe a little louder, if we could hear, if you can speak up.
Can you hear me now?
Can everyone hear him?
Yeah.
Is that better?
All right, sure.
Okay, that's as loud as
Thank-
maybe. We're gonna check.
I'm not muted.
No, we can hear you. It's just really quiet. Hold on one sec.
Oh. Okay.
Can you say something real quick, Andy?
Sure. How's that?
That's better. Thank you. You can continue.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Andy Baum from Summit Engineering. Here on behalf of the applicant, Lori Boniface. She owns a larger parcel off of Shepherd Road, and she also is in ownership of a parcel labeled as 165 Shepherd Road. The purpose of the A&R plan is to create the parcel shown in your plan documents. That parcel is going to be combined with the long, skinny-shaped 165 Shepherd Road for the creation of a building roll-on. There is enough frontage remaining and remaining land or area for the remaining land for a buildable lot, should she so choose.
Very good. Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions on it? If not, we have a motion then to endorse the A&R.
So moved.
Second.
Second?
All right, any discussion? All in favor? Opposed, no one? Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Andy.
Okay, we've got a few minutes, I think, before 6:35. Did you want to go over anything in Jean's report or the update?
Let me just pull it up real quick. So she did have some updates on the Charlton project, but I cannot speak to those. And then Christian Church Door to Heaven, Inc. is going to be going into the former Stage Loft Theater at 450 Main Street. So we just did a sign approval for them, and that was approved, so that's going in. Our next meeting dates are going to be September 14th and the 28th.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you. Good job on that. And it's 6:35. So, Sue, do you want to read the public hearing announcement?
Sure.
Use either that microphone or this one.
In accordance with the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 11, the Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, August 24th, 2021, at 6:35 p.m. on the application of Town of Sturbridge, 308 Main Street, Sturbridge, Mass. 01566. The applicant requests site plan approval as required by Chapter 25 of the Sturbridge zoning bylaws to relocate the existing gas pump islands and canopy, add 2 building additions, and reconfigure the available parking spaces. The property location is 122 Main Street, Sturbridge, Mass. 01566. Copy of the site plan and application can be inspected on the Sturbridge Town website at sturbridge.gov, Planning Board, recent filings, or arrangements can be made to view the application packet by contacting the Sturbridge Planning Department at 508-347-2508 or by email at jlacy@sturbridge.gov. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on this proposal shall appear at the time and place designated. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided to the public, the meeting or hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technical problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in any specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. Members of the public who wish to participate remotely may listen and/or watch the meeting online via the town's on-demand video broadcast on cable television on Channel 191, or dial into the meeting at 774-304-1455, enter 1428 # for the meeting number and 12345 for the access code. This phone number is only active for the public during public meetings. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation can be found on the town's website at sturbridge.gov, Town Administrator pages, How to Access Virtual Meeting.
Very good, thank you very much. Would you like to make a presentation?
Okay, good evening. For the record, my name is Steve Giosa. I'm with SciTech Civil and Environmental Consultants, representing the applicant tonight. The applicants are with me this evening as well, in case board members have any specific questions about their operation. This is a site located at 122 Main Street. I think everybody's pretty familiar with it, the gas station convenience store. You'll notice that this site has been somewhat disrupted for a period of time. The applicant was obligated to remove and replace the fuel storage tanks, bringing them up to current standards, meeting EPA and DEP guidelines. So with that modification to the site, they looked at this as an opportunity to create an upgrade to the overall site improvements that exist. So we've got a couple of exhibits here to take a look at and walk you through some of the changes they're proposing. The first exhibit is the existing conditions plan. What you see on the easel, at the bottom of the plan is Main Street. The project obviously located on the kind of the easterly side, if you will, with north generally heading in that direction on the exhibit. When we started the evaluation of this project, the first thing we did was have a botanist go out, identify the wetland resource areas on the site. There are wetlands on the east and southeast corner of the property. And obviously that creates some jurisdictional limits for the overall redevelopment of the property. And again, if you're familiar with the site, there's a pretty good embankment leading from the improved portion of the site down to the wetland area. So there's a significant grade change and ledge outcroppings on the property. So some unique site features that we did identify early on. But one of the things the owners have been looking to do is try and improve the customer parking in addition to the fuel dispensing operation. Under existing conditions, the fuel islands, or fuel dispenser island was located here with the canopy in front of the building located here in the central portion of the site, with the pavement wrapping around the building on 3 sides and 2 points of access off Main Street. What this did, though, is we've got pretty awkward parking, with parking on the north side of the building, some parking on the south side, but the main entrance for customers here really pushes the customers directly in front of the pump island area, and is really, from an efficiency standpoint, not a great alignment for this particular site. So they asked us to look at options, and what we did was come up with this particular scheme. This is the proposal before you this evening. Same orientation on the plan. The heavy or dark green shading represents the wetland resource areas on the site. As I indicated, those were delineated, and we did have to go through the Conservation Commission review process, which we have done. You'll see in the light gray shading the proposed pavement line. What we're going to do is kind of shave off. There's some inefficiencies in the impervious surface here. So one of the things we wanted to do is hopefully get some improvements to drainage and water quality on the site. So we did minimize pavement where we could, but the primary or the major change was relocating the pump island from here offset to the south side. And what that did was it freed up the space in front of the building. We now have 8 designated customer parking spaces with an ADA compliant spot in front of the building, pedestrian walkway along the face of the building, and then we've added a couple of islands on either end to create protection to the parking spaces in that area. We've added or maintained this paved area here for some additional parking. And as you might expect, a lot of the customers come, fuel up, leave their car at the pumps, go in. So we do have parking allocated as part of the pump pad and pump island area. While they were looking at the improvements to the site, they felt that adding some additional square footage would help with their operation. So the building right now is a little L-shaped to it. In the back, it's not all that noticeable, but there's a little block here that was not constructed. So the first little addition, a couple 100 square feet, is proposed to square off the building in the rear southeast corner of the building. And then they're also contemplating at a future point in time, and that may not happen immediately, but we didn't want to fragment the project, but we're bringing in what their future may bring, which is a small addition being added on to the north side of the property. When we were looking at all this, we relocated the screen dumpster pad over to this location here. The tanks, which went back in the ground, are over in the back corner here, which is where they originally were. And one of the things that came up in conservation, they said, gee, can't we move the tanks away from the wetlands or do something different? The problem with this site, you've got a lot of ledge. You can actually see the outcroppings both on the site and across the street. That was really the ideal spot with the least disruption and the least impact on blasting and impacts to the surrounding area. So we have state-of-the-art tank containment with new fuel lines which will feed the dispensers. All of those will have the sensor systems that are required today under current standards. So a major upgrade from an environmental standpoint, from the fuel standpoint. But as we move through conservation, they retained an outside peer review consultant to look at our overall design. We went and had a site meeting, we had a couple of discussions, and what came out of that process was some improvements to the stormwater management system for the site. At the present time, there is no drainage controls on the property. The water basically runs overland and then cascades down the slope and goes into the wetland system. So you have no water quality screening or mitigation of flow from this older site, and that's pretty common for these older commercial properties. What we've done is we've maintained the same drainage pattern, but the improvements have been on the down gradient side of the fuel pumping area. We're proposing a trench drain. That will actually intercept any water that runs through this area here. The overflow from that trench drain will go into a water quality unit, and that water quality unit is designed to remove up to 80% total suspended solids, and it's also designed to remove some hydrocarbons. So if you get minor spills and minor contaminant flows, where right now it goes uncontrolled into the wetlands, the applicants are investing in a water quality screening system, which will actually provide, I think, a pretty good benefit for that location. And the type of system we picked is a shallow system, so we're not worried about ledge impacts in that area. We did some test pits when they were doing some of the environmental monitoring of the site, and that seems to be an ideal location with a shallow system to create that water quality benefit. Then the overflow from that because we couldn't capture all the water, there'll be some runoff from this rear area here, small area of parking. We'll run down a new curb line and then into a crushed stone filter strip and then filter into a bioretention area. So we're going to hollow out a little area. We've got a conservation seed mix, some wet tolerant plants being proposed in that area. And again, that's going to give us a final polishing, if you will, of the runoff before it continues in its natural course down to the wetlands. So Conservation did review that. Their peer reviewer reviewed it. We do have an order of conditions that was issued by Conservation for that, all of the overall site improvements, but primarily the drainage improvements that we put forward. One other additional drainage improvement we're proposing, we're going to intercept all of the roof water from the building, and we're going to create 2 recharge systems. We've got some soils and the area to get recharge to the rear of the building and also on the north side. So our roof runoff will then be directed into some shallow crushed stone recharge systems. And again, we're going to reduce the volume of runoff coming off the site by recharging as much water as practical, but also removing the excess pavement. So we're actually having a little bit less lot coverage than exists today, better water quality, and some improved recharge into the ground of the clean water, the water coming off the roof. You're tending to not want to promote recharging the surface runoff from the parking lot, have that go through a filtering system, which is more important, and have the roof water, which stays relatively clean, go into the on-site recharge systems. One of the things that the planner asked us to look at was traffic movement through the site and circulation with the relocated pump islands. We actually did an auto turn analysis that was submitted as part of the ZBA application. And it demonstrated the movement of vehicles is safe, that the cars are not crossing lanes, that the traffic pattern would remain the same as it exists today, where we are maintaining the 2 curb cuts onto Main Street. So that traffic flow won't be impacted by these improvements, and we in fact did do a auto turn analysis of the site to make sure that maneuvering through the pump islands and then back out onto Main would not create a traffic hazard to the operation. I think during Conservation, if I'm not mistaken, there was one comment from an abutter who asked us to consider adding a fence in this area where basically our employee parking will be located back here. And although there's a large buffer of natural vegetation, trees heading back, and that's going to be obviously maintained because it is in the wetlands. They were concerned that if a car pulls in here at night, their headlights pointing in that direction, could that be an impact? So what we did do is we added to the plan a 4-foot solid fence, board fence, located here. And then we're also planning on planting evergreens behind the fence. So we'll have basically 2 layers of buffering of the headlights to any of the abutting properties. And it is quite a distance to the nearest adjacent property to the east. But we thought it was a legitimate concern raised by a neighbor, and the applicant was agreeable to adding that. So we actually added that at the Conservation stage, and obviously it carries through to the planning stage here tonight. Lighting is going to stay essentially the same as it does today. However, with the relocation of, I think, 1 light in this area, we're actually moving the light pole over to the edge here, and there'll be 1 new light pole here to illuminate this. We did do an illumination plan to demonstrate that we're not going to have any spillover lighting onto adjacent properties. So it really is focused with the back shield on the lighting and very targeted to just provide safe access for the employees and customers on the site. I think that's it. We did receive a variance. I think that was mentioned in the early in the reading into the minutes. I think of the explanation of the project early on. The variance is, not a variance, special permit. The special permit was granted because the existing canopy is non-conforming from a standpoint of setback to the street right-of-way line, and we were moving that, and the ZBA had to make a determination that the relocation of the canopy would not be more detrimental than the existing canopy. So a special permit was required by the ZBA, and that was granted, I think, back in April of this year. So we have our ZBA approval for the canopy positioning, conservation approval. We did go before the design review committee to review the architecture. Basically, the architecture color and the additions that are proposed will be similar in style, siding, colors to the existing building. And the design review committee did vote favorably on our application probably about a month ago now. So I think, unfortunately or fortunately, you're the last group in our chain of approvals that we require. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Very good, thank you very much. Jeff, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Dane?
No.
All set? Sue?
No questions, except to thank you for the improvement of the property.
Wally?
No, I'm all set, thank you.
All set.
And I don't have any either. Very good. Can we check to see if anyone from the public, and anyone here would like to comment on this for the public hearing?
Is there anyone on the public line that has any comments or questions on the public hearing for Lucky Mart, 122 Main Street?
Okay, great. Now, I know Jean has given us 8 conditions. Are you familiar with what the conditions were?
He was kind enough to provide us with a copy.
Okay, I can read them, and then we can put them into the motion. So the first is, all construction and site improvements shall be in conformance with the plans submitted and approved by the planning board. The second is that all state and local zoning bylaws, building codes, and regulations must be adhered to. The third is that all necessary permits must be obtained prior to the start of construction. The fourth is the site shall be kept in a clean, neat, and orderly condition throughout the construction process. The next is the exterior construction shall only occur during the hours of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Friday, and 8 a.m. to noon on Saturday. No exterior construction shall occur on Sundays or the following holidays: New Year's Day, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving Day, and Christmas Day. Number 6, the parking lot shall be striped after the repaving is complete. Number 7, the applicant shall notify the planning department office 48 hours prior to the start of construction. And the last condition is an emergency contact phone list with at least 2 names and numbers on it shall be supplied to the Sturbridge Police Department to be used by the dispatchers in case of an off-hour emergency prior to the start of the project. The list must be updated whenever necessary for the duration of the project. So with that, do we have a motion then to approve the site plan as requested? Dane?
So moved.
Second.
Sue? Okay, any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? No one? Very good. Thank you very much. Good luck with the project. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Early, I may have to go visit my in-laws who live in West Brookfield.
Oh, that's,
There you go.
all right.
I'm not sure I want to, but
Hopefully they're not
I hope
watching.
they're not watching.
Yeah. Very good. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
One works here in town, too, so.
Okay, so we've already heard, I think, from Gene's report. Any old or new business, Jeff?
No.
Dane? No. Sue?
No.
Wally?
I'm all set.
Chris? And I'm all set. We have a motion then.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good luck with the project. Appreciate it. A motion then to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor? Very good. Thank you all.
Great.
Good.
Okay.
Still be summertime.
I know, right? Do we all have to go visit that guy's in-laws now?